Recent releases of remastered games such as Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Shadow of the Colossus, Final Fantasy VII, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Resident Evil 2 and 3, and the sudden resurgence of sequels to games such as Streets of Rage 4, Shenmue 3 and the Pokemon games. Okay, maybe not the Pokemon games. It got me thinking about what games would be great to be re-released on new hardware. What games would it be great for people, not only me, but for everyone to be able to play without having to hook up or go out and buy an old machine just to experience it. Sometimes these new remasters or remakes do improve the experience. The original Link's Awakening on Game Boy was, or is, still far, arguably a better experience on the Switch. No one would choose to play the original release, be that on the Game Boy or the Game Boy Color's DX release, over the re-release on the Switch. Unless, of course, you're a true masochist or you have fond childhood memories of playing the game that way. Not all remasters and remakes are the same, of course. Secret of Mana had a notoriously awful 3D remake released in 2018, but the original version included on the collection of Mana is just about as good as playing the original SNES release. Nintendo has of course been doing this for what seems like forever. Right back in the days of the Super Nintendo, Nintendo re-released Super Mario Bros., Mario Bros. 2 and Mario Bros. 3 as the Super Mario All-Stars Collection. This, of course, for the 25th anniversary was re-released on the Wii, just exactly the same version, on newer hardware. And there's nothing wrong with that. Mario sells games. That's just a straight fact. The fact he's been busy selling games and systems for Nintendo for 35 years now. Racing, tennis, golf, partying, beating up gorillas, competing in the Olympics against much faster opponents, and even saving royalty from a knockoff Godzilla. Mario seemingly has turned his hand at one point or another to almost every aspect of game character life. February 2021 saw Nintendo release another Wii U game for the Switch. Super Mario 3D World. 3D World is in essence the big brother to 3D Land that graced the 3DS in 2011. Itself a sequel of sorts to the Game Boy Super Mario Land games, albeit without the return of Wario as the main character. 3D World saw for me Mario returning to what his games are all about. Colourful, challenging and above all, fun. Multiplayer meant that games stood out from the other 3D platformers that were available on other systems as well as the Wii. Okay, 2009 had seen New Super Mario Bros. Released with a full multiplayer action, where 4 players could grab the Wii controller, remote, wand, rampant rabbit, whatever you want to call it, and take part in a cooperative and competitive gameplay. But 3D World let us have levels with depth. No longer did we have simply running left and right or jumping up and down. Now we had full 3D world exploration, just like in Super Mario 64 or Sunshine or Galaxy, but now tweaked to include the classic stage levels as seen in these original titles. The overworld looks suspiciously like the overworld from Super Mario 3, with paths connecting each stage, but now rather than having to stick to these paths, you can just run rampantly around the level. Levels could only be unlocked as each level had been beaten, meaning that you couldn't just randomly run around the level and do the end level before you completed all the ones before it. It felt classic and new, bright, vibrant, challenging and very accessible. The inclusion of multiplayer meant that there were now 4 characters, each with their own specific skill, a bit like Super Mario Bros. 2. It was now possible, if you weren't able to beat a character, say with Mario, that you'd be able to pick somebody else. Each character has their own skills. Peach floats just like she used to in Super Mario Bros. 2. Luigi can jump higher. Toad really good at dying. The only issue that Nintendo had with this game was that it released on the Wii U. A console so misunderstood that most people thought that it was actually just an add-on for the Wii. And who wants to spend £300 on an add-on for a machine that you generally play bowling on? And so the Wii U's exclusive games floundered and Nintendo wasted money. Well, everything went unplayed. Whether they wasted money or not is questionable. These games were completed, were released, were sold to at least me, and now they're getting re-released and people can actually buy them on a machine that they've actually bought. Of course, this is not the first Wii U re-release. We've had Pikmin 3, we've had Mario Kart 8, New Super Mario Bros. U. Why they've stuck with the U title? Captain Toad, Breath of the Wild, Hyrule Warriors, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Pokken Tournament, and many others. They've all now been re-released for the Switch, with arguably Mario Maker 2 and Splatoon 2 being sequels that are nothing more than a re-release, prettied up and maybe some of the problems fixed. Super Mario World's re-release on the Switch, of course, comes with an added bonus. We get Bowser's Fury, a follow-on game, if you will, that further mixes the concepts of the 3D open world Mario games and the levels from Mario World. It's a bit like if 3D World and Odyssey had a baby. Not as big as either parent, but showing a fair amount of each's DNA to make it recognisable. 3D World itself is, and always was, one of my favourite 3D Mario games. I'm slightly biased in this, as it was the first game that me and my daughter completed together. She was 3 at the time, and the ability to drop in, play a level, or to get pulled off of a level and turn into a bobble and float around when the going got too tough for her made the experience one that we both laughed and enjoyed through. Her sometimes laughing at my frustration as I'd miss a jump repeatedly, falling to my death, but her ability to pop out of her bobble and leave a character on a set space so that I could bobble back in and carry on meant that we could complete without too many restarts. Now, the pair of us have just completed the Switch release, and by completed I simply mean that we finished the main story. Not all of the stars have been collected, nor have all the supplementary worlds been played. And again, the same drop-in bubble mechanic has made this playthrough a great time for us both. She's now 9 and has a much greater level of skill, in fact many times beating me to the high score on levels, but still finds that some of the stages are just a bit too much. Too many precise jumps for her, maybe with the time that's required, or the ability to let me knock her off the screen so that she goes into a bubble meant that when the going got too difficult she didn't have to stress about it. Or if she was in the background messing around, I could carry on and tell her to hurry up by pulling her forward as a bubble. So well done, Nintendo. This mechanic alone has made the co-op play for me and my daughter a breeze. Many a level could not have been completed without either of us being able to progress. In fact, there were times when she'd move forward because I was missing a jump and I'd go into a bubble, and then we could complete the game that way. Superb gameplay choice. There were times while playing that we both thought it would have been great if the game was split screen. But reflection upon this shows that this bubbling technique is so much better. Yes, with split screen she could explore where she wanted and I could carry on playing the level. But the times when one of us would fall to our death and the other one could pull them forward so that we could both complete the level shows that Nintendo makes incredible choices. So as a re-release, has anything actually changed in this game? Is it just the exact same game ported over? Have I just bought and played the same game that I played all those years ago? Yes and no. It is the exact same game with regard to 3D World. But now Mario and crew are actually a little bit faster. They walk about with a bit more pace. This feels... it actually just feels right. It feels like what the game should have felt like in the first place. Now, I'm not saying that I actually noticed it. It just feels right. It wasn't actually until I loaded up the Wii U version just on a whim to see what the game looked like then to what it looks like now that I noticed that there was actually this slight speed difference. It's a subtle change, but very worthwhile. Levels are increasingly more challenging, something that doesn't so much as ramp up but steadily builds as you progress through the story missions. At no point did either of us actually feel that the game was hideously hard, except for maybe one of the final story levels where my ineptitude meant that I kept repeatedly falling off a block that was flipping over a river of lava, to which nearly gave me an aneurysm. My daughter found this hilarious, of course. Ah! So, all in all, 3D World is just a slightly quicker, slightly prettier because of its resolution boost in docked mode, straight port of the Wii U game. So am I bothered? Am I glad that I bought it? Yes, because Bowser's Fury. Bowser's Fury it's wonderful. There's not much more that I can say about it, so shall we just finish the video? No, we'll not finish the video. There's so much more that I can say. It is truly wonderful. It plays like a dream. It has the progression that just feels right. Again, we see Nintendo making the exact choices that need to be made for gameplay. The game looks wonderful. It's a bit darker and more threatening than anything that we've ever seen in Mario, especially once Bowser looms up from the depths to attack you like a really annoyed Godzilla wannabe. But it's overall fun. Fun enough to actually bring big smiles to your face throughout play. And oh my god, is it cute. I'm not really a cute kind of person, as you can see. I wear a lot of black. I'm not against it as such, but personally it does nothing for me, generally. But Bowser's Fury's cat aesthetic was just a wonderful positive choice. Trees, bushes, seagulls, an actual volcano. Cat ears are everywhere. Now, I don't know if my appreciation of this is actually my own enjoyment, or whether this was actually brought on knowing just how much my daughter was absolutely loving it. Her exclamations of joy of spotting something else with cat features was just glorious. The gameplay is just as sharp and fun as you'd expect it to be, traversing a large open world, one that expands with each time that you defeat huge angry dark Bowser, revealing new areas of the map and new stages and challenges was yet another great choice. Could have been easier, of course, and arguably would have been for Nintendo for just to have the entire map open from the start. But the satisfaction of defeating stroppy Bowser, opening new areas each time felt rewarding and exciting. The feeling of seeing new areas to explore, new challenges to complete, felt like just the push that we needed to continue with the game. Not once did we feel that we had enough, at least for now. Something that I can't say that we normally feel when playing games together. Usually there comes a time when we play a game, when one or both of us just need a break. Enough is enough. Change of game maybe. She'll often decide to go off and play Minecraft. But Bowser's Fury just left us wanting to keep playing it all. The map itself is presented in a cluster of small islands upon a large lake. So progression from one island to the other means traversing large areas of water. Of course, it is absolutely possible to swim over from one island to another using just Mario. But as a way of making both this easier and increasing the fun factor, Nintendo has included Plessy to the game map. Plessy pops up all over the map, acting as he, she, they did in 3D World as a rideable, controllable transportation. To this end, Bowser's Fury not only has Plessy there as a transport, but also as a way of adding extra fun. They've included jumps, speedruns and challenges based all of your riding of Plessy. And now Plessy is not just stuck to the water. Approach land and Plessy will belly flop about the level, destroying everything with abandon. Enemies, trees, question blocks and anything else that gets in the way can and will be smashed. I can't describe the amount of fun that we had with this mechanic, simply swimming to an island and seeing just how much decimation we can cause before jumping off and playing the next stage properly. And it's funny. I won't spoil anything for anybody who wants to play the game to conclusion, but the final battle actually had me and my daughter laugh with the almost ridiculousness of it. So, is this game perfect? By no means is 3D World and Bowser's Fury perfect. It's a shame. I personally would have loved to have seen 3D Land included in the pack, or at least ported it in for a deluxe edition, I'd have paid the extra money. Nintendo, DLC, bring bring. 3D World, of course, plays superbly, just as you'd expect. It's a port from a game from 2013. But here's where the issues lie. Bowser's Fury. It is a wonderful game. It looks amazing and plays just as well. I've just spent the past few minutes discussing just how wonderful this game is, but that does not mean it has no issues. Whenever Krabby Bowser appears on screen, the world changes. It rains. Bowser breathes fire across the map. Fireballs fall and burn, all while you're running, turning, and generally avoiding all of his attacks. Now this sounds fine, but there's an issue. The frame rate will tank during some of these moments. What starts as a smooth, enjoyable experience often flops back onto, well, not quite a slideshow. I'm not going to even pretend that it does, but it's definitely a stuttering display of overtaxed hardware. It's truly a shame. It's not enough of an issue to make me not want to enjoy the game, but it's enough of an issue to make me notice it. And I'm not generally sensitive to these things at all. For many years, many friends have complained and griped over frame rate issues in games, explaining how this game wasn't really playable due to the dropped FPS. But I've never really suffered from too much slowdown. I've experienced slowdown. I've seen slowdown. I can think of many games where I've ooh and ah at the times when a game has slowed down and I've actually physically seen it slow, or it's gone a little bit jerky. But it's never impacted my gameplay. It's never made me go, this isn't quite right. Unfortunately, but with Bowser's Fury, this time I actually felt that it negatively impacted my play. Came to a point after story completion that my daughter and I would actively find somewhere to hide and wait out Bowser's attack. When Bowser attacks, you have one of two choices. You can either hide somewhere and wait for Bowser to get bored and slope off, or you can go and find a Giga Bell and turn yourself into Giga Cat Lion Mario. This is great, but once you've completed the story, doing so means that you have to watch the entire and complete the entire end battle again and again. Not perfect, Nintendo, not perfect at all. So as such, we will hide. There are of course elements of the game that can only be completed once Mardy Bowser is stomping about the level. Blocks that can only be destroyed by Bowser's fiery breath. And at these certain times, such as when we find one of these blocks, then we will bite the bullet and push through. But on the whole, play stopped whenever Bowser reared his ugly head. And that's a shame. But it's not one that should put you off, and I'm sure that it hasn't. But it's there, and for such a great release, for such a great experimental game, the lack of power in the Switch's aging hardware really does impact the gameplay. And thereby, it did, for me at least, impact some of my enjoyment. But not enough that I won't persevere. It's not enough that I'm not going to carry on playing the game to complete everything else. I mean, I own this lot. Do you think I'm going to stop? But it is so unfortunate. Bowser's Fury shows just what a 3D Mario could be. Something halfway between the original 2D Mario games and the 3D games. It has a sort of element of the Mario Galaxy games without allowing you to be upside down. As a package then, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury is superb. Especially if one of the Switch owners that never owned a Wii U. And in fact, if you did own a Wii U and you've already played 3D World on there, you know exactly why I'm saying that this game is so good. But it is good. It just suffers just a little bit. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I prattled on a little bit about this game, but I did really enjoy it. It was a great time. This video is something a little different to what I've done on the previous two. I'm going to keep trying to do something a bit different. There will be some that are like this, where I'm talking to camera with a bit of footage. There'll be some where it will just be gameplay. There'll be some where I'll be doing analysis like I've done previously. I'm just trying new things. Let's try it. Let's see what's out there and see what's fun. So if you want to see more of me messing about on games, you want to see more of me getting passionate about something, there will probably be ones where I'll scream and shout and be angry at something. But if you do want to see more of these, please like and subscribe. And until next time, see you later.